In this video I will talk about making of those figures, how I assembled them, how I printed the parts. I will be selling all the files as a one big pack with descriptions on each part, how it was oriented, how it was printed. But in this video I will show you how to assemble this figure. This one is basically the same, just has a different head and this spear here, and I will show you how to assemble it. I will show you how to remove some of the supports, why I chose to do things the way I did. So I have most of the parts here, and we'll be just putting together this guy. So let's move to the parts. So we will begin with those parts. These are the parts of the chest and the crotch. As you can see, some of them have this strange thing here. Let's see if the focus is working. It is. So these are called supports because when 3D printing, the parts cannot be suspended in the air. So for some of them you have to have those parts called supports. And as you can see, some of them are still here. So I will show you how I remove them, why they are here, and how to assemble everything. So I have this tray here, which will help me to just so the bits of the supports don't go everywhere. So some of them, as you can see, you will be able to remove by hand. And for this part, it was printed like this. It was printed flat. If I printed this like this, it would be easier to break at this line because the layers would be going like this. But when I'm printing it flat, it is very hard to break, and I want this part to be stiff. Also, as you can see, this part here is modeled flat, so that because of the base of the round objects often have some problems with distortion, so I made this flat to be sure that the shape is holding. So this is the bar that will go inside the chest. This is the chest, and to remove this I will use this. And when done correctly, everything should be easy to remove. So as you can see, just by moving everything is... I could do this part here at an angle and it would remove all of the supports, but it's not done in this version. Also here, as you can see, it's very easy if it's set up correctly. It goes out in one go, and here just you have to be careful not to rub and damage the part, but it should be easy. Like I said, if your settings are correct, I will be adding all of the settings that I used in the file pack. You have to use a bit of force, but everything should come out easy. And I will have to move to and do some of this off camera because it's getting harder for me to remove this and show you at the camera at the same time. For this you can just move it here. Since this part is inside, you don't have to worry about damaging anything because it won't be visible. So as you can see, I am removing most of this. This should be, now you can push this in and this ring can be removed. So basically this you can grab with this part and just pull. And I will do this off camera because it's hard for me to move around in this, and I will show you once it's done. Okay, so as you can see, most of it is removed. It's removed. There are some parts here that did not come out very clean, but since it doesn't really matter because it's inside and it won't be visible, I also help myself with this tool just to scrub everything. So most of the supports are removed. So now we just have to move this bar inside, and it will help to rotate the arms. And the front is this part here, the flat part. This will be the crotch, and this will be the stomach. As you can see, there is also some parts here that you will have to remove, so most of this should come out easy, but you can help yourself with a tool like this. There is some... okay, it's all removed. And now, since those two parts are printed at the same angle, they will click very nicely, and this is a very strong bond, so just make sure it goes flat. Okay, so, and there is a, okay, now it's in. So as you can see, it now is very strong, and I do not recommend you removing this. And now this is the chest armor, and it should just plug in here. You can secure those parts with glue after, but you can remove it, but it's very tight. And now this will go in here and close up everything like this, but I will not force it now because I may need to remove it to manipulate this part more easily. So as you can see, it is very tight right now, but we can help ourselves with this, and whoa, and push this out. Just don't try not to use too much force, just like I did. Okay, so this is the chest. Let's move it to the side. Next, let's move to the legs. So let's do lower legs first. So these are the legs. Let me put all the parts in view. So these are the parts that we'll be using for the lower legs. So as you can see, those parts here are still on the raft. And you can see, by adding this angle here, there will be no supports building at the outer side. So just by adding this smart detail, it saves a lot of time. So let's remove this. Like I said, you should be able to use it by hand, remove it by hand, most of it. Okay, so this is here, just everything here, and this part on the side. Okay, it's off. As you can see, there's a bit of leftover inside that we will remove in a second. And now this part here, you should use this because this can damage your hands, but I just use my hands. Okay, so this will now be removed. So this, so like I said, if done properly, you should have no problem with removal and with having smooth surfaces, and I will share all the details in the file pack. And for this, we'll use this blade. Just be careful and just make a cut here. I'm not sure if I can show you this, something like, just move a small part of the blade here just to separate those two parts. And no, I need to do this off camera, sorry. Okay, this is now removed, so let's move everything to the side. And this will be a slider that attaches to an ankle, and for the first time you use it, it's better to just slide this in, just to make sure that it can be very tight. As you will see, just move it to the end and move it out, just to make sure that everything fits. Same with this one, just slide this in, slide it all the way. The first time will be very stiff, and it's better to do it when everything is like not assembled. Okay, so there are some parts here. So yeah, now for the knee. This is the knee, and it is positioned in such a way that this groove here is on the outside, and it goes to this hole here, and this is the back cover, and it just goes in here, and you have something like this, and you can use those two pins. But when removing them, make sure, like you can see here, the bottom part often is easier to come off. So let me see. There's a focus. Come on, focus. See? So make sure that there are no, like, if I use my nail here, there's this small little line of plastic that is coming off. So make sure that nothing like this is present. Just remove this, because when attaching this little string can be stuck inside and it could cause some trouble. So you can do this with the knife or with your thumb. Okay, so it's looking okay right now, and just position it like this. You can position it so that this part here is in the back, and just make sure that everything is aligned, and you just have to push everything and it should all click into place. And now the knee can be moved, and it is quite stiff, and you can punch this thing out. Focus. It's a new camera, so I may have some problems with this. And you can punch this out, and the way I remove this, if I need to, is I use this. I put the part like this, and once this is down like this, you can use this. This is a sushi stick or a chopstick, and just use a hammer to punch this out. So I will do this now, and so by hitting it with the hammer, you can just remove the pin, and there shouldn't be any damage to this part. Okay, so now let's push this back again, close up this part, and for the ankle, there are those parts here that you have to just slide is like this and move it up so that those parts are aligned. As you can see, it is the only way it can go out is like this, but once you slide it to the foot, it is very secure, and it has no way of going out aside from sliding out this. And I will be adding some glue later. You can do it with friction, but it's just easier to just add after everything, add some glue here and slide it so it is secure. But for assembly, I think it's better just to keep it like this, so it's just easier to disassemble if needed. So okay, for the other leg we'll go faster. So this is the knee, this is this part here. We'll remove one of those pins, make sure that there aren't any strings, and there is one. Depending on your printer, perhaps this will not be the case, that you will not have to remove anything, but anything stuck inside will interfere with turning of the leg, and you can have some problems later on. So it's better just to make sure that there are no parts sticking out like this. Okay, so this is it, and let's okay, I need to rotate this. I can help myself with this. Those edges can be a bit sharp, and now okay, and it's in. Is it? Maybe it's moving. It's moving. Okay. And now for the same for the leg. Just put this like this. I hope that everything is in focus because this is a new camera. And okay, and just slide this here. and you have the lower legs. Let's just bring this up a bit, and you can test this connection now. It should be okay. The first time, of course, will be stiff. There's a bit of leftover plastic here. The first time will be stiff, but if you force it once, you should be holding later. So let's make sure that, okay, so as you can see, okay, so it is holding, and once you put this once, it will be holding the rest of the time. So okay, we are here, so let's move to the upper legs. So we have, so far we have the lower legs, the chest, and the crotch. So let's move to another part. So this is the next stage. Let's move this to the back a bit, and we have to remove ties, I think the part it's called. So as you can see, most of it is coming off nicely. This can be perhaps shaped with a blade a bit. Won't really be visible, but if you want, you can do it. And for the insides, like I said, most of it will just come out. And there are some strings here. They can be present from printing, but it's not really a big issue. Most of them will be inside, and you can just cut them with a knife or something. Okay, so I'm removing all of those parts here. I'm trying to be careful not to hit the camera when pulling those plastic parts. So okay, this is out, this is out, and make sure that the holes don't have anything stuck to them. So like this should be to remove this small part here, this also, okay, and this small piece of plastic. Okay, so this seems fine. There is a bit of white plastic here. I will cut just by placing it on the ground and moving the blade down, and it should. The support plastic is always a bit weaker than the normal, so just by sliding it down, it should remove everything. And same with this. I would do this off camera because it's just normal removal of supports. Okay, so all the supports are removed, and now we can assemble those parts. This is the back of the leg, so this is the filler, and this is the outside. So these openings always correspond with those openings, but actually, because this is the back of the leg, this should go. Is it the right one? This should go like this. Okay, but first it is important to use this part because when you put this, you won't be able to slide this out, so this locks this part. And okay, so let's remove some of the longer pins, 2 of them. Okay, and just like before, make sure that those strings, the bottom strings, are removed. Depending on your printer, like I said, you may not need to do this. This is just because mine tends to leave something like this, and I know it can interfere, so just a bit of leftover support. Sometimes it won't be there, so you won't have to remove everything, but just make sure that if it is there, it has to be removed. Okay, so this goes here. No, this. Okay, so make sure that this is in the back, and now just align this this part here, and let's start pushing. And is it okay? Okay, just move it like this. Okay. And okay, it should go all the way. Actually, it's not flat, so you can help yourself with pushing by something stiff like this, and it's flat. Okay. So this is one part, and this is the outside. And for this, we have to moving. I made those parts here to help align with the pins. So yeah, this goes to the back, and this goes like this. Okay. And now we have to move it here. Make sure that when pushing, before you force it too much, make sure that this is in a way that it could be pushed into the square. Okay, and there is, as you can see, there is something wrong. I need to push this back. I think there was some leftover plastic here, so just there's a bit of this. I think then just by turning everything, it will fit better. Oh, I see. This should be at this angle, I believe. Okay, now let's try it. Yeah, that's so. Okay, so just sometimes you need to try a different angle. Okay, so we have those parts here. This is the okay, and as you can see, I made something stupid because I made this upside down. This actually has to go on top. So that's why this is a good example to show, not to rush, and show how those pins can be removed. And this is why I use those pins, because when using this kind of setup, as you can see, the errors can be easily fixed. So, and if something becomes too loose, you can just put in a second pin like this, and you will not have to reprint everything. Okay, so just make sure that this is okay. Still, I need to rotate this a bit. So I will be showing you the mistakes I make, just so you know that you have to be careful. Okay, so this is now aligned, and now this is not aligned. Okay, so come on. Okay, need to rotate this slightly. Okay, so it fits. Okay, and it's in the hole, and it's okay. It is. Okay. So now we can rotate this to the back. So now those two parts, and they just come in like this, and we will be needing two shorter pins. Hope this is not too boring for you, but I just want this to be done, so you can see every stage. Okay, this doesn't have this thing, this also doesn't have this thing. Okay, so we have this part here, we just push this here, make sure it is aligned, and push this all the way. Okay, so this one is on, and now this is the inside, this is the it is easy to mix everything up, so make sure that you think before you push anything too far. Okay, so these are the upper legs, and now we will connect them to the lower legs, and to do that we also need two longer pins, and like again you can see there are some leftover strings that I will remove, and make sure you remove them all the way up. So if okay, this is okay, this one has a bit of them. I could of course make it so that the pins are printed at the different angle, so they are printed like this, but that way they could be very easy to break and when printing them flat they are very hard to break. So not to mix anything, this is coming here, make sure, yes, and there is some left over here. Okay, so let us align everything, make sure that this is going in. Before pushing, rotate this a bit. Oh, and it broke, so oops. So yeah, this sometimes happens, but most of the reasons here are because I am at this very hard angle and I am pushing things in the wrong way. So again, my trusty sushi stick, just remove this and try in the next one. Okay, so this is aligned. Okay, this is okay, and you can do something like this, that you just put this a bit of I don't remember what's the name of this, and just help yourself with the hammer, but it doesn't seem to. So perhaps there is a bit of leftover plastic in this hole that I will try to remove. Okay. It also can be the angle, that the angle is not right when pushing this. Let's see. Well, it should be okay. So okay, so just I needed a little bit more force, and it's still not exactly flat, so let's just push with something like this. Still not flat. I will push it against some surface so that it is more flat. Okay, so this leg is now ready, it's bending, it's working. So now the second one, but to do that, that's why I have more of those pins, because sometimes I break them by just pushing them at a different angle or something like this. So okay, this is everything is okay, should be fine. So now push this here, and okay, align this, and this one should go in more easily. Okay, yeah, so just I will it's hard to show you how to push against the surface. You can use a part of your desk, just push this in so this is flat. So I will just do it now. As you can't see actually, but yeah, just use any surface, and let's check if everything can bend. There will be some clicks, some strange noises because of the plastic rubbing together, but it's nothing to worry about. Okay, so now you have to use this crotch piece and slide everything in like this. It could be stiff at the beginning, so yeah, as you can see, it's all the way in. Same for the second version, second part. So just slide everything in. Do not worry about those sounds. So once they are in, you can use this part just to secure everything. As you can see, it is now secure, so the lower legs are basically done. We need to adjust the camera, and now we can do the panels, crotch plates. So just remove those two panels and we can just slide them in here. Here's one, and here's the second one. Everything could be very stiff at first, so just know that it is possible. Okay, and where's this bar? Okay, so now do not forget to use this. Slide it inside so that it's sticking out, and just push, and it should go in and out like this. So big part of sorry, I didn't. This can now go in and out. So the big part is done. Now let's move to the shoulders. So we have this bar here that will slide like this, but before doing that, let's just assemble the shoulders. So this is his right shoulder, and just move it like this. If you want more detail, you can put this at the front, so it doesn't really matter, but just made so it's easier to align this pin. And once aligned, it should be easy to push in. Yeah, I mean, it would be if I didn't have... Okay, so it's in, very secure. Same with this. This one is... Oh, look like I have some extra ones. And this one, is it? No, this is the one. So yeah, it goes in like this, and you just push the pin like this, and okay, make sure you align everything, and man, it's hard to push it. Okay, so I will push it against the surface. Okay, so make sure it moves. It's not very stiff. It's not. When I say push against the surface, I just place it against the desk and just push down because it's easier. And now slide this thing here. Slide this thing here. Whoa. Careful. And I made a filler for those two parts. 1 second. The ones I have made are black, but you can, they won't be visible that much, and you can use any color. So yes, so now just push this. You can use some glue, but just by pushing them like this, the whole section should be more secure. And again, just push it against the surface. Same with this. So just push them like this. Okay. And you can push them further like this, so they are a bit inside. Okay, so and now the part can rotate, and it will be more secure and won't slide out so easily. And now just slide this part here. It's very hard to align. Okay, so come on. Okay. And again, you can secure it with glue here. It's not really that important, but okay, so it now moves in and out. Let's clean this section a bit. Okay, so now the shoulders, and I can show you a difference in designing parts and how they print. So 1 second, I will put the older. Okay, so this is the newer version, this is the older version. I don't know how visible it is, but this line here is sharp, a bit sharper, and it was just made so that there were supports here, and sometimes when removing them there would be damage. I just made a small angle here. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, this is now printing without supports, and the parts are printed like this, so on the ground. So before attaching the shoulders, let's assemble the shoulder cannons. So the shoulder cannons are made of 2 parts. Come on, focus please. No. One is like this, and the cannons are like this, and they are printed facing up, and they slide in like this. So you will have a spare of the. I always send a spare of those, and I don't know if you can see it, but this bar is a bit off center, a bit higher up like this. So when sliding them, make sure that this part is closer to the edge, because the other way around it may be too stiff. So as you can see, and if they are too loose, you can add a drop of glue here and here, and it will help with the stiffness. As you can see, you can now move and just push them like this, and they should be a good fit. If not, you can add a drop of glue or nail polish too, because it is a bit dependent on the printer how stiff they will be. Okay, so now just push this part here, and that's it. Again, the first time it will be very stiff, and just there are small grooves that may help you with pushing this. Okay, and if you have trouble sliding them out when rotating, they naturally at some point want to pop off, so you can use this lever to remove them later on. Okay, because we will need to remove them to attach the arms. Okay, so this is it. This is not all the way down. Okay, so here the figure is coming together nicely. I just hope that everything is in focus. I really hope that it is. Okay, so as you can see, there is a panel missing here. So you have 2 options. A blank panel, and you can print one with a logo. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that, so I will use just a blank panel, and you just push this in here. There's also some orange detail missing, and this detail is just a bar printed in different color, and you just place it in here, and you will need to probably glue this, because as you can see it is somewhat holding, but just not to be annoyed with it popping off, I always glue this in. I will glue everything later and show you how I do it, but for now just let's remove it so it doesn't. And as you can see, this part here is a neck piece. Oops. And this neck piece could be printed as a part of this, but I am doing it separately because this is meant to be made in different scales, and the connection points like this and the pins are the parts that may need to be adjusted. So I wanted for you just to print the bigger parts with no adjustments and leave the ability to adjust these connection points separately. So this will have to be glued in, but if you would like to print it bigger or smaller, this is the only part that would need some adjustments, or like those pins and perhaps some of those parts, but the bigger parts are not affected by friction. Okay, so I need a little break because the lights are getting really hot, and I will get back to assembly. So I think we will move to the tail. So as you can see, here is the tail printed, here are the bars, the back hinge. So I will just want to show you this, how it is on the raft, and I will remove it, and we will continue with this everything removed. Okay, so I removed all of the parts, so let's put them together. So one thing you will have to remember that this part, actually, as you can see, the parts have a nicer side and the worse side, the bottom, but the one part that's reversed is that at the end here, this is supposed to go not like this, but like this. So you will see why later. So let's just slide this part here, and it should slide very well, so you can help yourself with pushing like this. Okay, so now we will use this part here, and this will use the shorter bar, and just push this. Okay, now just I could use this at the other side, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so now this part here, the shorter bar. You know what? No, I will change so that this seam here is at the bottom. And to do that, I will again use my trusty, I forgot the name of this part, but just put this like this, so that it creates a very nice opening here, and just, it shouldn't need a lot of pressure, just to push this out a little, and after that you can just grab it and move it like this. What I want to do is just rotate it so that the seam is at the bottom. So okay, so that's okay, going in. Now this part here, the shorter part goes in, and just push it out the way. Now this is not very hard, very simple task. Push it against the ground. This part here, the same, push it against the ground. This part here, okay, and push it against the ground. It should be, everything should be stiff, because this is a tight fit. Okay, and this is the shorter one. Push this against the ground. Okay, and now this part here goes like this. Push it against the ground, and finally this thing here. Push this against the ground. Make sure it's aligned. Okay, so we have our tail, and the reason that this is reversed is that when the tail is looking from the front, and we have our tail, and the reason this is reversed because in Scorpion world, when they're looking from the front, you will see it like this. So you will see the nicer part here and the other side of this sting. So by turning it around, you will see the nicer side. And this is the bar that will be used for the back. So I just want to remove it. Okay, and for the back here, just align everything, and you should be able to push, and as you can see now moves like this, and you can position it just there will be, of course, the scorpion legs here. There will be scorpion legs here, so it will, this gap will be filled. So, but this is the okay. So this is the back compressed. Okay, so now let's move to the scorpion legs. The legs are printed flat like this, so you can just remove them by simply just pushing this. They should come off with no problem. Okay, just any additional plastic. Okay, so let's remove this, and I want to show you one thing. Because one part of them, come on, focus, is flat, you may need to see here, it's not round, so you may need to have some additional cuts. So let's see here. So what I do is just make sure that this part here, sorry for the door, just cut a bit of that part. You can try a different setting for this so that it doesn't have this, but for me it's just my process now that it's easier just to make those cuts so the bottom is rounded. Okay, so once again, this is the correct way, and I want the nicer side to be outside. So okay, this goes to the back. Okay, and same with this. And when I can see it is bent a little, but do not worry, it's the price of it being stiff. And just make sure you move those parts a bit so that they are not stuck inside. Okay, and once this is done, you just take this part and slide it in. And I use 2 drops of glue. I will not glue it now, but just so you know. And if there is a small breakage here after you slide it in, do not worry. Like here, do not worry. It does not affect anything because it will be holding just fine. But it just happens sometimes. So, but it's nothing to worry about because the whole thing is holding by this part. But this break will be present sometimes, but you can glue it after by pressing here. But so let me assemble the other side. Okay, so then just slide in this part and just make sure that everything is able to move. Okay, slide in this part here and just like this, and now we can adjust the camera and move to the back of the figure and just put this like this, and using this part, the shorter part goes into the back, just push in. So with proper leverage it is now secure like this, the tail back. So yeah, a lot of the figure is okay, done, assembled. You just have to make the head and the arms basically, and we are done. So maybe for the head, this is the head assembled, but I will disconnect some parts and show you. Those antennas will be separate, so you can, if you do break one, you will be able to put them back again. So this is the helmet that is printed like this, and this is the visor. It's the best to glue it in, but for now it's just sitting like this. So there are two faces, so you can just move the face like this, and you just plug those two here, sorry, and here, and position it on the ball joint. So you have the head ready, you have the focus, yes. So let's now move to the elbows and the claws. So before moving further, I just want to show you how are they printed. So as you can see, the bar, this part here is printed on the side, and you just have to remove this support here like this, and this is printed like this. So I will be removing all of those supports like this. So I will be assembling after everything is removed. So we'll be back in a second. Okay, so I cleaned the parts. So one thing is I made a cut here, small cut here, because there might be some leftover plastic here, so I just moved this with the blade. So to assemble this, you just have to move this part here like this, and not sure if it's in focus or not. And now you may want to move it something like this, because this thing will now slide over. Oh, just make sure it's no, that's not the right part, that's the shorter part. You have to use the longer part here, and make sure that this groove here is, well, this groove here is facing this. So what's wrong with me? Just want to make sure that this opening here is facing this part. So you just have to slide it here like this, and now as you can see, this thing now locks this part, and this part, not sure if it's, this part can move, and I just put some glue here because to make it more secure. So you know what, we'll do that later. Just put everything the way it's supposed to be. Now for the bottom part we use this one, and it goes like this, and the shorter part should clip on like this. Just make sure that this is all the way in. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so now okay, and just okay, come on. Okay, so as you can see, those parts are like this, and now this can bend. We will later secure it with some glue, but for now let's just leave it like this. And now use this part. This rougher part should go at the bottom, so like this. This is the bottom, and just push this bar into this groove here. It should be very stiff. Okay, so it is, and basically just wiggle it down. Okay, so this is what you will have. I will now glue those two parts, and to do that I just something like this. Slide this open. Where's my glue? Get some, not to damage the paper. So put just a drop of glue here, some glue here and here, and just slide it up. Make sure that this is aligned, not too far up. Just that this is aligned. Okay, should be okay. And the same thing for the second part here. Just put this back here and just a bit of glue here. It will kind of hold without the glue, but just so it doesn't slide and doesn't annoy you, the glue is placed. Okay. So I will we'll wait for it to dry, and I will do the same for the second part. And while that part is waiting to dry, we'll use this occasion and just put a small drop of glue here, another one here. Just be careful not to put any glue on this part, and just use this thing here, and to make sure that, because the glue on this part is dries very fast, so just help yourself with a bar or something to align this properly. So okay, so while it dries, we will also add some glue here to this part here. So again, just add a bit of glue here and place this part inside. And let's just wait till it dries. Okay, so those parts should be dry. So now let's push in those two parts. So just like I told you, just be careful so that you're pushing only this part is pushing against this part. So make sure that this is pushing against my finger. Do not force those two parts in any way, because this is quite a fragile connection. So I need to move it a bit to the right, so that this is in the center. Is it in the center? It kind of, no, a bit more to the right. Just wiggle it till it's okay. So maybe like this. Okay, so a bit. Oops. Okay. Come on. Okay, so it is in the center right now, as you can see, and let's do the same with this other one. So it's quite stiff here. Open it like this and just move this part here, and then make sure it is in the center. Okay, and now you just need to close this off with this part. Make sure that the rougher part is facing down. So just get some glue here and make sure that they are aligned. This is kind of aligned, this is okay, and this could use a bit of shifting. Okay, so I think this is looking quite well, the parts are moving. So the same with this part, and just get some glue here. here, and okay. So test is everything is moving. Yes. So it is able to move. Just like to leave it in this bent state while it dries to make sure that nothing is sticking out. So these are the arms, and we just have the claws left. Okay, so here are the claws, and let's focus on one first. So this is this one, the left one, and you have those bars that you push in here, but some of them are more stiff than the others, so I just have to see. Okay, so this one is going in fine. This one is in, and I made this separately because they are this way, they are very hard to break, and this because this is the outside one, this is the finger, the small finger, so this is like this, and this will be the big finger. But before doing that, we need to make those parts that I am calling the nails. Okay, and to do that we are using this small bar here, so this should go on one side and this should go on the other. Okay, now just slide those inside of this part, and this may be stiff, so I will make a small cut here just to make this part a bit thinner. Should have done that before, but since this top part was facing the it just can have some leftover plastic, but when making that cut it should not go in, and you can use this thing to push down. Okay, and it still needs to go down a bit, so whatever tool you have, just use it to push this down. And this seems to be, I think this will be better. Okay, so just go down. Okay, so it's all the way down, and now this can be placed here. Wait. Okay, the bar was pushed in, but it seems like this is not the right side, so this is actually the other side, so this is the side we want. So again, put those two bars here, one and the other. It's hard for me to see, like, again, I'm repeating myself, and that's why I am mixing them up. Let's just put the proper one here, and now this is the one, and okay. And as you can see, here's the claw, it is working. It's quite stiff, and this bar here, let's put in this thing. And you will have to make a small cut here, but I will show you why later. And we are missing two panels, and the panels are made like this. This is the upper panel, and this is this panel here. So I will now remove them, and they are very fragile, so they may break when putting them on. So, but this is so let's put this one in. Will it fit, or will we have to make some adjustments? As you can see, there is a bit of stress mark here, so I will get another one and just help myself with a bit of cutting. So this is the other one. This is the one. Is it? No. always the last one. Okay, so yeah, this is the one. So I will just cut a small part of plastic here because this edge was facing the bottom and it can cause some problems. So just like this, just a bit of leftover and it should be fine. Okay, so let's put this together and you can see this fine, and now we just need this cover here. Okay. So now for this big panel here we will use this, and I'm not sure which side is which. Okay, so just move this. I need to help myself with this. Okay. And is this their side? I think it is. Okay, so as you can see, we need to, because they are very fragile parts, so just made the cut here so that this part is more even, and also this has some leftover plastic here, so just be careful. Just a small cut here should do the trick. I'm just cutting a bit of this plastic here. And I broke this part. Did I? Yes. So yeah, like I said, very fragile, and usually they don't give you this much problems, but you just have to watch what you're doing and have them in front. I'm trying to do most of this on camera, and that is why I may be breaking some of them. So again, this is but here maybe I will move just to close a bit. Perhaps it will be working like this. Let's see, maybe it will fit. So this is the... Oh, I can see these are not aligned because this is actually for the other side, other claw. So let's move this to the side and get a new one. Okay, let's remove everything. Okay, just make sure that all of those leftover parts are gone. Okay, and just a slight cut down this. Okay, and let's see, this is again the other side. So the last one will be the right one. Great. It's always the last one. Just our luck. Okay, so everything here, here, this part here, all the leftover plastic parts. Okay, small part here. Okay, and now let's see. Okay, this left part is okay, and this, I would not force this, pushing this in. What I would do is just cut a small part from here, which I will do off camera. Okay, I made a cut. Now let's see. It will fit. I think it still needs a bit of a cut, so once again. Okay, I removed a bit of plastic here, and it should now, it still does not want to go in. Perhaps this one is a bit distorted, so let's just make this hole slightly bigger. It sometimes happens when the temperature changes of the print and the holes may appear a slightly different size. Okay, so it's now in, As you can see, the claw is ready. So, and the cut I mentioned is so that the arm goes in and doesn't stick. So I just make a smart cut here and push the arm like this. You can see it's more secure this way, and now we can close everything, and you can add some glue to make it more secure. So let's do the other claw and assemble everything. So we are almost ready. Just let's remove those shoulder armors parts for a second and just slide in this. It may be stiff at first, as most of the parts are, so just let's try to move everything in. Very important to hold by this, do not twist it like this, because this bar inside is very fragile, so just hold like this. If it is too stiff for you, you may just make this part here, just use a bit of sandpaper. You know what, let's do it to show how it can be fixed. So I'm just using some sandpaper to make it a bit more smooth, and after this it should be much easier fit, and they now can rotate easier. Okay, so let's put him back together. So now we just have to slide on the shoulder armor pieces, and put in the head, and we have our Scorponock done. Whew, that's quite a bit of work to do it in front of the camera. So some things that we can do is glue those panels in, secure those heels, perhaps glue those two things inside, and I will do that now, and after that we will check how the transformation works and sum up everything we did here. So most of the gluing of the other parts is easy, but I just want to give you some tips on how to glue this. So the best way would be just add some glue here and here so that the ball joint is not affected, and just slide it like this, and you can align it like this and just leave it so it dries. So here is our Scorponock assembled. You may notice that there are some parts missing, like the orange parts here and the blue parts here, and they are just hand cut from this colored sticker paper. I'm not sure, self-adhesive color paper pad or something like this. So they are just hand cut and placed, as you can see. Here's some for the red, and where is this? Here's the orange one for the circle, so you just have to cut that and use it yourself. Also, this spear was made in half and just slides in. I added some tape for friction, but basically this is how it works. And now let's transform him to his scorpion mode. This is the first time we are doing it, so let's see if we made any mistakes. So let's begin with his legs. So move it here, slide it down all the way. Same for this. It's a bit stiff still, but that's okay. Okay, move the tail back, move this whole section up, move the arms here, this whole thing moves down. There will be instructions also, so you can print your instructions. Move this away, move this here, slide this here. Okay, so now let's separate those legs, and the border legs, those can pop off, but they should be easy to pop back in if that happens. So, okay, everything is working fine so far. Now rotate this. Just make sure that this part does not bend. It's only meant to rotate. Okay, so now first this part here. Now let's move this part here. Okay, so make sure that this is aligned. This here, that this is aligned, that they are 90 degrees here in here. They are 90 degrees here. Also, that as you can see, this is a bit off center, so just push it a bit to the side, and they should lock here. Also, this should lock here, the tail. Push this on the side. The tail can be positioned any way you like. Of course, this is the, oh, it's a bit loose, so we may have to fix this joint later on. And just rotate the cannons. They are also quite stiff. This here, and if this, just you can slide the scorpion legs any way you want. And if this had a sticker, you can rotate it so that the sticker is facing forward. You can open the claws. I did not glue those two panels yet because I think it will be easier for me to make those stickers when they are not connected to the claw. So yeah, this is Scorponok. The transformation works fine, and this can be adjusted a bit for some better angles. The same here. So if everything is aligned, it should make a very nice fit. Okay, it's just that it may be stiff. So yeah, here is Scorponok, and this file pack will have everything to make this guy here. It would also have alternative files to do this Zarak, and going to the future it will be also a subscription, so I will be making a gun and a shield, and I will update the files. For those who got the pack, they can be updated and they can add some parts like the shield, so that's also coming. I will add this model rigged in 3D, so you will be able to animate it, so the rig would also be in the pack. So basically, here it is. Here is my project. Here is how I made it. I will post a link to the files, but the best way is contact me through my email, which you will see down below. So I am eager to hear your comments. This was a nice journey, and I am moving forward to new projects. So I made about 10 of them. For now, I'm not planning to make any more. So I am closing this project for now. Perhaps I have some spare time. I will make something new, but for now I am focusing on new figures, and the next one will probably be Fort Max. So thanks again, and see you at my other project.